to the IBF. Death to the IBF. Death to the IBF. Death to the IBF. Death to the IBF.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Good Faith Show on this wonderful, magnificent Monday afternoon. I'm your host, Andre Morton. I'm going to be with you for the whole entire time because, hey, it's my show. So, yeah, man. Anyway, I got some shameless plugs to get here. Like the video. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. You know, that's my stick, or whatever they call it. So, when you like the video, you know, pushes out an algorithm. You know, if you just want to come in and look at my ugly face for 5 seconds and leave, just like the video. That's all I ask. And also to follow the ATP Network Twitter account. I handle for that right there on the bottom of your screen at ATP Network 247. And also shop official ATP Network merch. Well, yes, we have a merch store, and I know we are very small, but hey, you gotta try somewhere, right? Our website is ATP Network at myshopify.com. Like we got Tired Peasant logo shirts, hoodies. We got ATP Network logo shirts and hoodies and Caligula Drums t-shirts. Like we got everything, man. So check us out, man. Like support little bitty tiny independent media channel, you know. And also go to GazaFunds.com. Well, most importantly, support the Palestinians. Like, you know, if you got a few bones for the Palestinians, I'd rather for that to go to Gaza Funds, support the Palestinians, than go to us because, you know, they're the ones in, you know, just suffering, you know, just suffering a horrific crisis right now, a hunger crisis. And, you know, I'm about to get into that later on in the stream, but, you know, it's just, you know, like, it's unbearable, man. So, yeah, go to GazaFunds.com, help any way you can. So, all right, guys. So, this ain't gonna be a long stream. Every time I say it's not gonna be a long fucking stream, this shit end up being an hour and a half. Like, I don't know, man. Sometimes I just got a lot to say, like, you know, and I'm, you know, very comfortable doing this by myself, you know. the two people I'm most comfortable with doing a show with is Hina. Shout out to Hina Lotus. She a new member of the ATP network. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm gonna share our new show. Um, Let me share right quick. Uh, Let me see. Share a new show. The title for that is um Anti-Empire Bites. That's our new show. I'm gonna make this show exclusively more. I'm pushing it out more because I think me and Hina, we have a great chemistry going. Um, you know, I ain't gonna lie, man. The first episode, like when she was a guest at the time on the Good Faith Show last Saturday night, I was nervous in a motherfucker, man. I ain't gonna lie, I was so nervous. Like I don't know, man. Hina's a very intelligent person. She has a good point of view. She's very charismatic. She all that stuff you need for a political commentator, and I guess I guess her aura, just made me a little nervous. But it's all right, man. Like, pretty sure next time I'll be more prepared. And also, too, I really wasn't prepared for that interview because I don't know, I just had a lot of stuff going on at the time. One of my one of my friends got into some deep shit, so had to help him with that. So yeah, man. Like, but Anti-Empire Bites coming soon to the ATP network, man. Like, I think me and her are really gonna pop off. And Hina, she's very reliable. She's trustworthy, and she's hardworking, man. I tell her she do her research. She actually knows what she's talking about. She's not gonna gaslight you. She's gonna educate you. I think Hina was a missing piece to the network all along because I had people come and go in the network. Either people was toxic or somebody told me like I wasn't always up to it, or it was always something. But I think me, Hina, and Mike, especially, I think we're gonna really pop off. Mike, he's very important. Can't forget about Mike, man. Like Mike going through a lot of shit right now, man. And he's still pushing out shows and stuff. Like, I always tell Mike, I like, hey man, take some time off, Left Independent. Mike, aka Left Independent. That's his stage name, but like I tell Mike, like take some time off, man. Like I know you're going through a lot. I know you're trying to find work and stuff like that, and he's housing insecure right now too as well. So yeah, you got a lot going on. But I appreciate Mike for doing this because this is a lot of work. Like a lot of y'all guys don't understand. Like, y'all see me sitting here behind a microphone, just talking random shit. If you think I'm doing that, like, but you gotta prepare, man. This is a news show. Good Faith Show is a news show, so you gotta have stories to talk about. You gotta have point of view. You gotta understand the topic. You gotta do a lot of things, And like I can't just sit here. It'd be easy to sit here and just lie to y'all, saying like, yeah, whatever, yeah. But I mean, I'm not gonna be comfortable lying to you. So that's why, that's why I do what I do, and that's why Hina and Mike, those two especially, that's why they do what they do. Like Mike, he always come prepared. He had new stories. He had a point of view. Hina, she come prepared. Like she's a professional. You could tell like she's been doing this for a long time, so for a while. So yeah, man, I'm excited for the ATP network, man. At one point, man, I thought this network was going to be a failure because it's just I don't know, man. It just felt like things was just not going my way. But I had to understand something. Like, we do stuff like this. This is like I'm pretty sure RBN went through the same thing at 1.2 once upon a time. Like, this is a teaching moment. This is a teaching moment for me. It's a teaching moment for everybody else on the network as well. Like, you learn, I made mistakes. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I ain't gonna say I was a saint. Maybe some things I could have did better. But hey, I learned my lesson. Let's move on. No shit was said between other people. I'm not gonna mention their names because it's irrelevant. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, move on. Like my goal is to speak truth to power. Same with the other people. So that's our goal. So yeah. So I know I said a lot, but before I get to it, Mike played this yesterday on ATP Live. I don't play it again. Let me see. Video clips. Basically Bill Maher telling the truth about Barack Obama, which was shocking. So I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna get my thoughts on it.
Man, did Maher nail it. He had a little, new rules segment at the end of his show, as he usually does. And he's been on the warpath for 2 weeks now on how Obama isn't being strong enough in pushing his agenda through because this is what we voted for. I couldn't agree more with him. I've said it on the show 100 times, right? But I thought he did a great job here of summarizing exactly what's wrong with not just how Obama's handling things for now, and he could get stronger, and of course Maher acknowledges that as well, but the state of American politics. So let's watch Bill Maher.
He's your president, not your boyfriend. Now, last week in this space, I criticized President Obama for not fighting corporate influence enough, and it made some liberals very angry. My phone rang off the hook, my email filled up, and Nancy Pelosi got so mad her face moved. Look, folks, I like Obama too. I'm just saying, let's not make it a religion. And as far as you folks on the right who think that we're now somehow in league, we're not in league. I was criticizing Obama for not being hard enough on the corporate douchebags you live to defend. I don't want to be on your team. Pick another kid. So I stand by my words, but there is another side to the story, and that is that every time Obama tries to take on a progressive cause, there's a major political party standing in his way, the Democrats. Now, people talk a lot about a third political party in America. We don't need a third party. We need a first party. You go to the polls, and your choices are the guy who voted for the first Wall Street bailout or the guy who voted for the next 10. This week, we're hearing that a public option for health care is unlikely because it doesn't have the support of enough Democrats. Even Ted Kennedy's plan, Ted Kennedy, leaves 37 million uninsured. This is because we don't have a left and a right party in this country anymore. We have a center-right party and a crazy party. And over the last 30-odd years, Democrats have moved to the right, and the right has moved into a mental hospital. So what we have is one perfectly good party for hedge fund managers, credit card companies, banks, defense contractors, big agriculture, and the pharmaceutical lobby. That's the Democrats. And they sit across the aisle from a small group of religious lunatics, flat earthers, and Civil War reenactors who mostly communicate by AM radio and call themselves the Republicans, and who actually worry that Obama is a socialist. Socialist? He's not even a liberal. I know he's not, because he's on TV. And while I see Democrats on television, I don't see actual liberals. And if occasionally you do get to hear Ralph Nader, or Noam Chomsky, or Dennis Kucinich, they're treated like buffoons. Okay, these are not three of the world's most charismatic men, but then nobody's going to confuse Newt Gingrich for Zac Efron, and I have to look at his fat face on TV more often than that free credit report song. Shouldn't there be one party that unambiguously supports cutting the military budget? A party that is straight up in favor of gun control, gay marriage, higher taxes on the rich, universal health care, legalizing pot, and steep direct taxing of polluters. These aren't radical ideas. A majority of Americans are either already for them or would be if they were properly argued and defended. And what we need is an actual progressive party to represent the millions of Americans who aren't being served by the Democrats. Because bottom line, Democrats are the new Republicans.
It's impossible for me to agree more with him. He absolutely nailed it. Look,
I don't care what Jen gotta say, but yeah, man. Wow. That's insane. You know, Bill Maher said that 15 years ago, like that clip came out in 2010. Like, damn, like this man sound like me. Not now, I'm way more to the left, but like me, like 3 or 4 years ago, relatively. Like shit, like calling out Barack Obama when that wasn't at the time popular. Like at that time, man, like 2010, yeah, I was like transitioning to a black conservative. Oh man, I did some stupid shit, man. I tell you, man, I was a black conservative for 2 years, and I went back to being a Democrat. You know, you know, the Wall Street, I forgot what they call it. Damn, they're like the first thing that really got me into politics more. That too, I forgot what that march called on Wall Street. Something on Wall Street. Fuck, man, my brain is fried. But yeah, man, like Bill Maher was right. I mean, like I said, hey, I don't really care for Bill Maher. You know, Bill Maher is a shit lib. Um, you know, but again, it's like, hey, you know, he stuck his neck out there and told the truth. Yeah, like Barack Obama isn't he isn't no socialist. Hell to the fuck no. Um, you know, like these same people that say Kamala Harris it was a communist. Joe Biden was a communist. I'm like, what the fuck? Like that's just so disrespectful to people that are actually communists. Like I don't label myself as that. You know, I acknowledge I am, but I don't like just brazenly say I'm a communist. 'Cause I don't know, like it turns people off. I don't know why, but who cares? I mean, who really cares what levels anyway? Like, but yeah, man. You know, shout out to Mike, you know, Left Independent. He found that clip, you know. Um, told the truth. Yeah, man, Barack Obama is a Republican, really. He's a Republican. Like, really, Joe Biden's a Republican, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, all these people are on the right, you know. You know, the Democrats are the Republicans. They basically the same, just Democrats, you know, they willing to, you know, wave a LGBTQ flag or say Black Lives Matter, you know. So, all right, y'all. If y'all made it this far into the video, like the video, man. Like, I know I'm sometimes kind of unbearable because I talk funny as fuck and I look funny as fuck. I know I'm not, you know, Nick Cruz or JB Fun or Savvy Sabs. You know, those are professionals. Rome, even Rome. But hey, you know, I'm Andre, so some people like it. You know, some people generally like me, so that's good. You know, that's good. You know, I'm always hard on myself, y'all. Just forgive me if I'm hard on myself. You know, I like the video, you know, pushes it out in the algorithm. Because when y'all like the video, we start getting views on our channel. So, especially on YouTube and Rumble. So, and we're growing a little bit on Rumble too. So, you know, shout out to the people out there on Rumble. If y'all leave some comments or whatnot, if I don't get to them, I forgot to like, you know, with Rumble, you're supposed to like have a tab open for Rumble because Rumble, when you streaming live with StreamYard, you can't see the comments from Rumble for some reason. Like, come on, StreamYard. Like, Jesus, man. StreamYard's so slow when it comes to updates. Man, but all right, y'all. I'm talking about Candace Owens being sued. That's kind of interesting. Then we're gonna talk about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Then we're gonna talk about Ilhan Omar and AOC beef. Not beef, but you know. Then we're gonna talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. She wants her conviction overturned. Oh, so interesting. And then Shama Sawant cooks cooks AOC, man. Like, you know, Shama Sawant, man, she's wow. And Shama Sawant, like, I show you, man, like so many people could like do multiple things at once, you know, but I know that you gotta be more committed to doing one thing over the other. Like, for example, like Shama Sawant rather be on the ground radicalizing people, trying to get things done for people rather than being in the podcast field. But you know, she said some good stuff on AOC. So all right, y'all, let's get to it. All right, guys, before I get to the main news stories, I just came across this bang of a tweet on Twitter for Blakely. You know, they say so-called leader of the Democrats in House, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, pretend like he and the Democratic Party are not complicit in the famine in Gaza, blaming Trump while protecting Netanyahu. So, yeah, this is a 2-minute video. You know, and shout out to Blakely, man. She always, I mean, they always come with the bang. They always come with bangers, man. Right, bang after banger. She on every platform, which is nice. You know, that's why I try to tell Tyre Peasant, I'm like, you know, you need to be on every platform speaking your truth. You know, Twitter's a good platform. It is, you know, even though it's a cesspool and it's ran by a Nazi, but you know, like get on these other platforms. Like, you know, that's how you spread your truth out. And that's why I like about Blakey. She's everywhere. So I'm going to play this video and, you know, get my thoughts on it. So here we go.
Israel today is
Hakeem Jeffries, the so-called leader of the Democrats in the House. I just thought that clip was a good way to put into context the reason why Hakeem Jeffries doesn't say anything about the Israeli regime in the statement he finally put out, calling for an end to the starvation campaign in Gaza, saying that humanitarian aid needs to be surged into Gaza. But instead of at least once acknowledging that the Israeli regime are the ones that are starving them, he blames Trump. Now, Trump is a sociopathic monster who absolutely is to blame for this, but I feel like your statement is missing someone. Not a single mention of Israel or Netanyahu. He does manage, though, to lie and pretend that the Biden administration...
See, I think the reason why all of these Zionists, like Hakeem Jeffries and, you know, corporate media is really a big Zionist network too. The reason why they're calling out the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is because the narratives have shifted so much since 2023, October 7th, to a point where, like, yeah, you know, I still support Israel, but yeah, the Palestinians, you know, they on level 5 starvation. That's a little bit extreme, but you gotta ask yourself, why has it gotten to that point? It's because of Netanyahu and Israel, like Blakely said. But let me continue.
Did a ceasefire, which never happened. You know who else I blame? You, Hakeem Jeffries, because you'll notice on this list to the side of me that his name is not on there. Last year, Congress voted to defund UNRWA because they were claiming that Hamas was stealing the aid. And Hakeem Jeffries voted to defund UNRWA. Trump wasn't even in office yet, and they were warned at the time that this vote happened that they were going to create a famine in Gaza. A year and a half ago, they were warned about this, and Biden's response was, I'll sign it immediately. No, Democrats, liberals, blue MAGA, you're not going to rewrite history about this.
But the craziest thing about that, though, to me is that, remember AOC said they're working tirelessly for a ceasefire. So you'll say, like, hey, you know, so basically they wouldn't be a hunger crisis going on in Gaza if it was a ceasefire, right? Oh, God. Like, yeah, man. Yeah, take these people seriously all you want to, man. I'm telling you. I'm so serious.
You know you want to partisan pill this into right versus left, but anyone paying attention knows this genocide has been bipartisan from day one. This is happening because only 22 fucking Democrats voted against defunding UNRWA. UNRWA was the organization, the UN organization, that was allowing aid to get in, and then you guys decided to vote to defund it on the lie and the smear that Hamas was working.
So these people, wow. So these people, so these people on here, if you can see your screen, voted to defund UNRWA. That's crazy. AOC, Summer Lee, Bowman, Bush, Carson. Oh God, like, so only 22 people out of 200 Democrats. Yeah, 200 Democrats voted. Yeah, man, like, yeah, like, but, you know, again, like the liberals will say, like, you know, oh no, now, you know, what Donald Trump and Republicans are doing is horrible. Like they've been blind and deaf for the last 15, 16 months when they see now President Joe Biden was doing the same motherfucking thing. So yeah, it's beyond wild, man.
And stealing the aid, which was just proven by an analysis by USAID that it was a lie. But that didn't stop Hakeem Jeffries, all of our politicians and our trash bag media from laundering that lie. I looked it up today. Not only did only 20,000 people vote in his primary, but in his district in New York 8, only 3% of his district voted. That's how we ended up with clowns like this. It is not just Trump that is responsible for bringing us to this point where so many Palestinians are...
Yeah, it didn't start with Trump. I mean, really, if you go, like, a lot of people, you know, a lot of scholars, like, say it started before October 7th. It's just true. Like, I mean, this wasn't new. But yeah, like, I mean, like, if October 7th started, it shouldn't have got to this point to where they're starving. You know, like Joe Biden had plenty of time, and Kamala Harris had plenty of time to not send money and aid to Israel, but they continue to do it. and Donald Trump is continuing to do it. So I mean, like it's just simple as that. Like but hey.
On the verge of death. I, for one, will not be letting you guys rewrite history. You, Hakeem Jeffries, along with all your other AIPAC lackeys in the House, are some of the most responsible people for this famine because with your position of power, you used your vote to starve them. You're a disgrace.
So, good video by Blakely. Check them out on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, they everywhere. So, yeah, man, like Hakeem Jeffries, he's just like every other AIPAC clown complicit in this. Like he's the reason why they're starving. Like Congress have power to stop sending weapons, offensive weapons to Israel, and also fuck the United States too for making these fake humanitarian sites while letting the IDF shoot 1,000, I think, kill and injure 1,000 Palestinians trying to get aid. Like fuck you, man. Fuck you. So yeah, that was that. Let's start with Candace Owens, man. This is a very interesting topic here. Let me see. It says Candace Owens responds to defamation lawsuit filed by French First Lady. So it says here, and also this is from USA Today as well. It says Candace Owens, a right-wing podcast host, is responding to the defamation lawsuit filed against her by French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte over the media's figure claimed that the French First Lady is male. Oh my God. Oh Lordy. Oh, come on, man. I mean, obviously she's a woman, but goddamn. Macron said in a lawsuit filed in Delaware Supreme Court on July 23rd that Owens has waged a campaign of global humiliation and engaged in relentless bullying against the 72-year-old Brigitte to promote her independent platform, gain notoriety, and make money. The 219-page lawsuit detailed dozens of podcast claims made over several months, including corresponding photographs, screenshots, and archived newspaper clippings. And this one didn't get me with these defamation lawsuits. Like, I can't randomly, usually defamation lawsuits benefits figureheads like Macron and, celebrities and shit like that because I guess they have a reputation or some shit. Yeah. Like me, a troll said something about me, Andre, like, somebody said something about Ty Peasant, for example. Somebody said Ty Peasant was transgender. So she can't, like, you can obviously prove that she's not, but she can't, file a defamation against that person because number one, the person is anonymous. You got to know who's that person name and all that shit. So yeah, like these laws is just very, very wishy-washy. Like yeah, Candace Owens, she, even though Candace Owens have been right on Gaza and stuff like that, but Candace Owens, she still like, like she still gotta play the game, man. Like she gotta make accusations, like miraculous accusations and shit like that. Let me see. Owens responded to a lawsuit in her July 24 episode of her innocuous podcast, Candace, spending more than 30 minutes criticizing legal actions of Macron's and doubling down on her claims. I'm going to try to find that podcast episode too as well. I think you're sick, Owens said, addressing Francis First Club. I think you're disgusting, and I'm fully prepared to take on this battle. Oh, God. The Macrons are suing Owens, her media company, and the company that runs her website for 22 counts of defamation and defamation-related claims, seeking an unspecified amount of compensatory and punitive damage. They are represented by Claire Locke in Farnan LLP, a well-known firm specializing in high-profile defamation cases, who helped win a $790 million defamation lawsuit against Fox News brought by Dominion Voting Systems in 2023. So yeah, I mean the Macron's got a shot to win. I mean $790 million, like goddamn. I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna try to find that video when she was talking about it. Owens has been repeating false claims over the First Lady's identity for more than a year. the lawsuit alleges, stating in March 2024 when the podcaster stated that she stakes her entire professional reputation that Bridget Macron is in fact a man. In January, Owens released the first episode in the 8-part podcast entitled Becoming Bridget, in which the lawsuit says she presented various outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions. The filing says that they include allegations by Owens that Bridget was born a man and stole someone's identity, that Bridget and Emmanuel Macron were blood relatives, and they may have committed forgery, fraud, and abuse of power because to conceal these secrets. Oh my God, bro. Oh Lord, Candace Owens, man, like goddamn, like she on that Alex Jones shit. The filing alleges that Owens ignored the Macron's request to retract the allegations. Owens has dissected their appearance, their marriage, their friends, their family, and their personal history, twisting it all into a grotesque narrative designed to inflame and degrade, the complaint said. So yeah, man, I'm gonna end it right there, cause oh my God. So yeah, Candace Owens calling Bridget a man. I mean, like, oh God, like, yeah, that falls in the prerequisite to go to sue somebody over defamation. It does. But yeah, man, my thing is this: it's like, damn, like Candace Owens, she got 4 million subscribers on YouTube, and she was on the Daily Wire too at one point in time. I mean, like, I just got a question. Then I'm gonna get to then I'm gonna find the YouTube video, the YouTube video, her talking about it. Like, really, is it really that serious? I mean, like, to me, like, I get it. Like, that's not cool to call somebody that when they're not, but again, it's like you, Emmanuel Macron, like, bro, like, you supposed to run France, bro. Like, ain't you supposed to make France, you supposed to serve the people of France, but you so worried about a random well, she ain't random, but a podcaster in the United States calling your wife a man? Like, who fucking cares, bro? Like, bro, like, damn, man, like, I've been called a whole lot of shit, from a grifter to oh God, to everything you can't even think of, man. You could think of. So yeah, man, let me try to find this video, this podcast episode of Candace talking about this. All right, guys. So yeah, I found a video from CNN. I guess this is good enough. I'm pretty sure they're gonna play probably clips of it. I think Candace Owens' podcast, I think she probably copyrighted it. So, and I don't want to get another copyright strike because I already got one in it. When you get a copyright strike, take it from me, guys. Like, it fucks your channel up. Like, the ATV Network, like on YouTube, we was doing pretty well. But when I got that copyright strike because I played the Breakfast Club, my channel had never been the same. But we on the rebound. So, again, like I said, I made mistakes. I regret. But hey, I've been warned that hey, if you use the Breakfast Club content, they copyrighted. So anyway, here's the video. Them talking about more about Macron, his wife, Candace Owens and shit. So.
French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte are suing right-wing podcaster and conspiracy theorist Candace Owens. The defamation lawsuit filed today in Delaware claims that Owens has engaged in a, quote, relentless and unjustified smear campaign against the couple. The complaint goes on to allege that Owens spread outrageous conspiracy theories. That France's first lady could be a man, that the Macrons are related in committing incest, and that the Macrons, the couple, is being controlled by the CIA. Obviously, those are deranged claims. In response to the filing, Owens posted a screenshot of a news story about the lawsuit on her Instagram page and wrote, "I will be coming for this wig today. Stay tuned." Owens has, of course, a history of all sorts of deranged conspiracy theories and vile anti-Semitic rhetoric. She was temporarily suspended from YouTube for
Yeah, yeah. The anti-Semitic stuff is the Israel stuff, right? Yeah. Oh man, wow. What I haven't that ain't nothing new to me. It's really
The
not.
LGBT comments. Joining us now to discuss is Tom Clare, the lawyer for the Macrons, Emmanuel and Brigitte. And we should note that if people recognize you, they might remember you from the Dominion case suing Fox News for defamation, which resulted in a $787.5 million settlement from Fox, but who's counting? So the lawsuit claims that this has been a year-long campaign by Candace Owens. Why are the Macrons suing now? Like, what changed? Why sue now?
Well, this was really a last resort. We have attempted to engage with her for the last year, putting evidence in front of her, request after request after request, that she just simply do the right thing. This is not a legal thing. Do the right thing, tell the truth, stop spreading these lies. And each time we've done that, she mocked the Macrons. She mocked our efforts to set the record straight. She refused to retract what she had said. She started a merch campaign. She's selling T-shirts mocking and celebrating her defamation of them. And enough is enough. It was time to hold her accountable for this campaign.
So your lawsuit alleges, quote, every time the Macrons leave their home, they do so knowing that countless people have heard and many believe these vile fabrications. It is invasive, dehumanizing, and deeply unjust. Some people out there might think, really, the first couple of France can't leave their home in France without worrying that people believe the deranged nonsense from this American population?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, damn, like Candace Owens got flicks like that. Damn, man. But yeah, my thoughts about that is this, man. Like, like Candace Owens, man. Like, usually people will stop or they'll settle out of court. But hell, she said she'll fight this to the end. So maybe Candace Owens knows something we don't. Even though I know it's bullshit. Like they said, she's a conspiracy theorist. So, oh boy, we shall see, right?
Podcaster?
Yeah, what people don't really understand, and a lot of people can go on TV and talk about the president, talk about the first lady, pundits can get on and talk about them, but what people forget is these are human beings. These are a married couple. They have a social life, they have a private life together, they have the same feelings and the same hurt from these sorts of defamatory statements as anybody would. And it does have a material impact on them. It is, it's incredibly upsetting to have this said year after year. And this sort of falsehood is a cancer, and it metastasizes into, obviously, the media, but it also metastasizes into other circles that they're running in. They get asked about it, of course, even in the circles that they run in. They get asked about these campaigns, and they shouldn't have to go through that.
It's pretty horrible. She also engages in Holocaust denial and all sorts of anti-Semitism. She just posted a video reacting to the lawsuit. She calls it a, quote, obvious and desperate public relations strategy. What's your response?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank her for that reaction to the lawsuit. She's only helping us with our claim for punitive damages by expressing no remorse and obviously doubling down on these falsehoods. But I don't think she's going to feel the same way about this being a public relations stunt after her deposition and after she has to sit for trial.
So you're alleging that Candace Owens made these allegations despite knowing that they were false. I don't know that she knows.
Yeah, exactly. What I was saying, shit. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. Candace Owens really don't really care. Oh God, like again, like I said, like I was checking some messages, so let me continue.
They're false. I mean, she says a lot of crazy, just completely insane, hateful stuff about Jews, about the Holocaust, about, like, I don't know what she knows to be true or not. She says a lot of lies. How do you know that she's lying as opposed to a deeply disturbed individual? Well, it could be both, of course.
It's one of the reasons why our complaint is 219 pages long. We wanted to lay out exactly that. We wanted to explain to the court and we wanted to explain to the people that will see our lawsuit how we can prove that she knows it's false. We allege that there's evidence that she knew it was false when she started this campaign over a year ago. She started relying on things she knew was discredited. But then over the past year, when we have put this information directly in front of her, even if you want to give her a pass for the early crazy stuff that she said, after we put facts and information in front of her, black and white, multiple times.
What? Like her, the First Lady's birth certificate? Like what kind of facts?
Yeah, we have laid out extensive evidence in our complaint demonstrating that she was born a woman. She's always been a woman, and the allegations of CIA control conspiracy and the incest
Now, I think the Macrons is going to win this lawsuit. Okay, I think they're going to win it. Like, I think it's an easy lawsuit to win because, hey, like, I can't believe, like, this is why, yeah, like the conspiracy shit. Like, okay, I see conspiracy theories, coming to part like with 9/11 and Martin Luther King, when people said that, yeah, the FBI, CIA took out Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, like, yeah, okay, that's good, insight. But yeah, like saying somebody this, yeah, it's slender, man. Um, Let me continue.
And all the other things are demonstrably false. Putting aside the fact that they are all inherently implausible, what you said at the outset is obviously really important. In our system, if you're making an inherently implausible allegation, the standard is higher. You have to come forward with better evidence if you're going to say it. She has none of it. All she's done is mock them and ridiculed them and repeated it.
There are a bunch of these hate mongers out there that have been saying the same thing about Michelle Obama, the former First Lady of the United States. Do you think she should sue?
Well, I haven't looked at her claim, but I believe that everybody has a right to their reputation, and I think the Constitution makes that very clear. Defamation is not protected by the First Amendment, and if it's impacting Michelle Obama or anybody else, they have a right to access our court system and have a trial.
So the reason why the Macrons are suing is because it's impacting their reputation. I think Michelle Obama, I think they look at it like, yeah, it's just a bunch of internet trolls, they ain't gonna do nothing beyond, any significance. So, yeah.
We determine truth or falsity. We do it in court, we do it with rules, we do it with legal standards, and it's a place where evidence matters. And that's why we've taken Candace to court where we can actually have a trial on the truth.
You're asking for punitive damages. How much money do you want, and do you want her to apologize?
Well, we'd love an apology, of course. A court can't order her to apologize, and based on her conduct, especially today, we don't expect her to do anything other than double down. We'll put forward our damage claim at trial, but if she continues to double down between now and the time of trial, it'll be a substantial award.
Well, can you give me an idea? Are we talking about, the last time you were involved in something, the settlement was $787.5 million. That was Fox News for their many, many lies about Dominion Software. Fox News, but are you looking for that kind of settlement? She doesn't have $787.5 million.
Well, you look at what happened with Alex Jones, and there are juries understand that there is an inherently large value to somebody's reputation, and if you're going to say these vile things, and if you're going to repeat them to a significant audience, as she has over 5 million followers. And her lies have metastasized into actual publications. So we see other publications that pick up on it and they report on it. And when you ask them, when we reached out to them and say, what's your basis for this? They point back to her.
What are the other publications?
They're detailed in the complaint. We've seen Newsweek, and New York Post, and others have pointed to her as the source of their reporting on this.
But they're asserting it as if it's true based on what Candace Owens is saying?
They repeat what Candace has said, and they cite her as a source. And so when they fall back on her, but she is at the epicenter of this campaign. That's why we picked her. That's why we're going.
Yeah, that's lazy as fuck. Oh, yeah, we can't prove that, Macron's wife is a man, but hey, Candace, that's how they, keep their ass from being in a lawsuit. Hey, Candace Owens she's the motherfucking source, not me. I'm just reporting on it. Candace Owens is. Getting information from a podcaster, like he said, that does conspiracy theories. Yeah, that's like getting information from Alex Jones or Charlie Kirk, these other whack jacks out here. You know what I mean?
For her is because she is the one whose lies are metastasizing and spreading. And she, under our system of defamation, is liable for all those republications.
Are you not worried at all that the fact is that this is a disturbed individual, Candace Owens, who loves attention, loves the fact that we're talking about her on CNN? She doesn't, whatever happened to her as a child, she doesn't care that the attention's negative. She just likes it.
Yeah.
And you're bringing her more?
Yeah. It obviously goes into the mix, and we did not do this as our first choice. But Jake, if that mindset allowed the Macrons to sit back. That's how disinformation takes root.
Right.
That's how disinformation wins, is you've got to take that first step, and you've got to take a principled step. And I applaud the Macrons for their courage in taking this on.
All right, Tom Clarence, thanks so much for being here.
All right, y'all. So that's that. So yeah, man, Candace Owens sued. I mean, Macron. If I'm a betting man, they gonna win it. But again, it's like, I mean, like, why? I mean, like, what? I mean, like, you claim they work for the CIA and all that shit. I mean, like, boy. All right, y'all. Let me get to the next story. All right, guys. So the next story I want to talk about is from Mundo Weiss. It says the humanitarian crisis facing 42,000 forcibly displaced Palestinians in the West Bank. Yeah, man. I just wanted to talk about this because everybody else was talking about it, and this is very significant. Like everything that happens in Palestine, man. I take it to heart, man. Like but yeah. It says, really, yeah. It says, man, I can't say that. Let me see. Abu Salem OD and his wife have been living in a bus for the past 3 months. The couple had nowhere to go and no means to pay rent after being expelled at gunpoint from their lifelong home in the Tuckering refugee camp by the Israeli army earlier this year. But desperation has a way of unlocking ingenuity in the 70-year-old OD that meant repurposing an old vehicle piece by piece and turning it into a home. He converted the inside of a small bus into a bedroom and attached the small kitchen extension using corrugated steel sheets. It is our duty to be patient, preserve our exposure will not last no matter how long it persists, OD told Mundo Weiss from the bus. The occupation wants to expel us all. They want to take every single part of Palestine in this land, not 1948 and 1967 occupied lands. They want it all to be a Jewish state. And God willing, this will not happen, he continued. Exactly. So, yeah, they want to, they not only want, Gaza and the West Bank, they want, a greater Israel in general. Like, that's the end goal. It says, amid displacement and poverty, the couple has carved out small pockets of life. They fashioned fabric walls using worn tarpaulins and turned old car wheels into flower pots now blooming with color. It says, but it has not come up without hardship. The structure remains exposed on one side, offering little privacy or protection. Even inside their home, his wife must remain veiled. The sweaty summer heat and the bitter chill of winter pressed without restraint. Almost all of their furniture, including the bus itself, was donated to them by helping hands. We cook on wood fire and are living a rudimentary life. There are days when we don't have food. I don't have a source of income, OD explained. We had to sell my wife's wedding ring. So yeah, that's the bus right there. That's OD. It says OD's reality reflects an unfolding humanitarian crisis in the northern occupied West Bank that is only deteriorating. He is one of at least 42,000 Palestinians who were driven out by occupation forces from 3 refugee camps across the cities of Tuckering and Jenin within the first months of Israel's military assault, which began in late January. Many remain stranded, living in mosques, schools, and other shelters as history repeats itself with cruel precision. Palestinians in these camps, survivors of the 1948 Nakba and their descendants, were cast into streets overnight. Now twice displaced, most were forced out of their homes with nothing but clothes on their backs and the weight of generation expulsion. The situation of Tuckering is disastrous. While local and international organizations as well as the PA are helping, the situation has surpassed our capabilities. The Tuckering city without withstand this large number of displaced people. Manan al-Hafi, director of the Palestinian Red Crescent Society at Tuckering, told Mundo Weiss. There are people asking for help every day, whether for money, humanitarian aid, or food. Families have been separated, with the mother and children staying in one place and the father in another, she continued. According to the report, it says, published by Doctors Without Borders earlier this month, based on almost 300 interviews with displaced residents of the Jenin and Tuckering refugee camps, over 47% of respondents have inconsistent or no access to food and water. The group called for immediate and urgent scale up in humanitarian assistance, noting that the majority of people are relying on overstretched local communities to aid them. It says, while cities in the occupied West Bank are meant to be under governance of the Palestinian Authority, also part of the Oslo Accords, Israel has effectively reasserted direct military control over Jenin and Turkmenistan for the past 6 months. Observers said it was the first step towards the formal annexation of the occupied West Bank, amid other Israeli measures such as taking over record amounts of Palestinian land since the war in Gaza and expelling dozens of Palestinians in Bedouin villages in remote areas outside of cities, alongside blatant acts of annexation. A top government minister, Basil Smotrich, has promoted a decisive plan to expand illegal settlements, block Palestinian statehood, and solidify Israeli control. So yeah, I'm gonna stop right there, man. I'm gonna stop right there. So yeah, so basically they saying like um, yeah, it's continuing to it's every day, they're trying to force people out of the West Bank. That's the end goal. Like, I mean, did the Knesset, I can't even say it right. I apologize. The Israeli government voted to officially, let's annex the West Bank. So, oh man, so he was right. Like, the Palestinian liberation has to be internal. And I hope and pray for that every day, man. So, all right, guys, on to the next story. So the Fell For It Again award goes to oh man. So the next story I want to talk about is from CNN. It says Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell urges Supreme Court to overturn her conviction. So let me continue. It says Ghislaine Maxwell, the former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, urged the Supreme Court on Monday to take up her pending appeal and overturn her sex trafficking conviction, claiming she was covered by an agreement Epstein made with federal authorities that shielded her from prosecution. This case is about what the government promised, not what Epstein did. Maxwell attorneys told the justices in a new brief. Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in 2022 for carrying out a years-long scheme with Epstein to groom and sexually abuse underage girls. She has recently met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche for questioning amid a political firestorm over the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein files. It says those talks were not mentioned in the latest Supreme Court filings. President Trump has built his legacy in part on the power of a deal, and he surely would agree that when the United States gives its word, I must stand by it. Maxwell attorney David Oscar Marcus said in a statement, "We are appealing not only to the Supreme Court, but to the president himself to recognize how profoundly unjust it is to scapegoat Ghislaine Maxwell for Epstein's crime, especially when the government promised she will not be prosecuted." So basically, she's saying that the government made a promise, like, hey, basically we'll let you go. We'll not prosecute you if you, do this and that. So, and also too, as well, I'm gonna continue to read it. In her appeal at the Supreme Court filed in April, Maxwell argues she have been covered by a non-prosecution agreement Epstein secured as part of his agreement to plead guilty. The New York-based Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against Maxwell, finding that the agreement was made with prosecutors in Florida did not bind the authorities in New York. Maxwell's attorney has urged that appeals courts have taken different approaches to the issue of whether non-prosecution agreement with the United States is nationally binding. The Supreme Court will likely decide this fall whether to grant the case. The government's argument across the board is essentially an appeal to what it wishes the agreement has said rather than what it actually says. Maxwell told the Supreme Court, of course, if wishful thinking were the standard, the whole NPA would have been thrown out a long time ago. So, okay, so reading it more, basically, they made a deal like if Epstein said he's guilty, then Maxwell can go free. Interesting. Very interesting. Epstein pleaded guilty in 2008 to state prostitution charges and was indicted on federal sex trafficking charges in July 2019, but died by suicide in prison a month later. Yeah, died by suicide. Yeah, I don't believe that one bit. Nah, like it was an inside job to take Epstein out. Like because Epstein had this list, which a lot of people say it's not a list. It's like mostly flight logs and shit like that of notable people you might like, politician you might like, or a celebrity you might like. So it says the Trump administration have been defending the charges amid the conviction at the Supreme Court, even as the Justice Department has met with Maxwell amid the spiraling controversy over the handling of the Epstein documents. Petitioner was not a party to the relevant agreement, the Justice Department told the Supreme Court in a brief file on July 14th. Only Epstein and Florida USAO were parties. Let me see. So yeah, that's it, guys. With that, so basically, I mean, like, to be honest with you, like, if she don't if she don't implicate Trump in the files, and then Trump can pardon her, maybe probably won't need the Supreme Court. But who knows, man? Like this Epstein situation, it getting crazier day by day. So yeah. So yeah, man. Like, yeah, that's all I gotta say about that one. All right, guys, on to the next one. All right, guys. So the next story I'm talking about is Ilhan Omar and AOC. Ilhan Omar called out AOC for voting, on the wrong side, of the vote of Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment to stop sending money to Israel. So it says what Ilhan Omar gets right and AOC gets wrong on Israel. So it's an opinion piece, So, yeah, this gotta make this bigger, man. It's very, very small. Oh, it's too big. There you go. It says, Ilhan Omar published a post on X on Tuesday condemning the House's recent passage of a defense spending bill that concluded a new round of military aid to Israel. The genocide of the people in Gaza continues as members of Congress vote to fund Israel's defensive and offensive military capabilities. This is immoral, and no amount of excuses will ever make it okay, she wrote. Now, we know that she took a shot at AOC. Like, we all knew that. Like, she said the excuses, they are like AOC made a whole lot of fucking excuses why she voted for it, which were bullshit. I mean, it had no merit. Like, AOC is known for like doing word salad, so no new about that. It says, at a glance, the post might appear as to be a standard criticism of bipartisan support for the steady flow of U.S. aid to Israel from a left-wing member of Congress, but one word signals is more than that. Ilhan's mentions of defensive capabilities also serve as a pointed critique of one of her closest colleagues and ideological allies in the House, AOC. The two members of the squad of progressive lawmakers are among the most vocal critics of Israel on the Hill, but they diverged recently on the issue of whether the U.S. should fund Israel's missile defense system, including the Iron Dome, which uses missiles to intercept rockets. Yeah, we know what Iron Dome is. Marjorie Taylor Greene proposed an amendment, defense spending bill, to cut $500 million for Israel's missile defense. Even though it was just for the Israel's missile defense, like, I mean, cutting is cutting, like, but she said cut off aid to Ukraine and disaster relief. Okay, Green's Israel amendment only received votes from a libertarian-leaning Republican, Thomas Massey, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Summer Lee, and Al Green. Al Green, of all people, too. That's shocking, too. Ocasio-Cortez voted against the amendment. She posted on X that she voted against the amendment because it does nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel, nor in the flow of U.S. munitions being used in Gaza. She also stated that I do not believe that adding to the death count of innocent victims to this war is constructive to its end. Guys, now war's a genocide, man. It said, to summarize, Ocasio-Cortez support aiding Israel's defensive capabilities, but not its offensive capabilities. Omar opposes both, but Omar's on stronger ground. So yeah, basically I read you that to get you to another point. Shout out to Revolutionary Change. They changed their name. It was Generational Change. I kind of like the name change. Sometimes the name change is good. Let me share my screen. Share my screen. So yeah, I'm gonna play this, and I ain't gonna play all of it, but y'all know what I do.
We've said time and again that there are not a lot of good people in politics. Some of them are out there. And one of them is Ilhan Omar. As I have stated before on this show, I don't agree with all of her decisions in terms of her political moves, but I know that she is somebody who deeply cares about this country, despite the fact that everyone wants to paint her in the most grotesque ways possible. And it isn't just coming from the radical conservative side of politics. It is very much in play with the liberal elites.
Honestly, way more so. Other than the real bigots on the right that are just very bigoted, she definitely gets more grief and aggravation from the centrists and the libs.
A lot of times it is not considered a necessary political maneuver. And even somebody like Thomas Massie, you're not really going to see him. I mean, yeah, he will go at Trump when Trump obviously is going at him, but you're never generally going to see the actual calling out of your fellow colleagues when they do something that is just completely egregious and frankly is done against their own people. And it's somewhat, fortuitous, if you will, but it is Rashida Tlaib's birthday today. And I'm sure that she wishes for nothing more than for her people to be free. Now, of course, we know that AOC doesn't think the same way that supposedly her fellow squad members do, deciding that her career is more
Can we stop using that term? Can we finally stop using that term? It was stupid then. It makes less sense now. It's not a thing. There's no squad. There's no squad. And if there were one, AOC.
I mean, yeah, she's right. Jennifer, right. It's no squad. I mean, even Cori Bush, when she was in Congress before she got kicked out by AIPAC, she said they vote alone. So, yeah, that right there tells you all you need to know. I guess, that reminiscent that, hey, it's my career, I gotta vote, to stay relevant. Because, if we vote as a block, we might, I might risk getting kicked out. But the craziest thing is most of these people are in safe districts. So, even AIPAC comes into your district, it won't make a difference. But anyway, a lot of people show their ass. No problem. No surprise.
See, sure shit ain't on it.
No.
So it can we just stop with that? It's so silly.
Colin, could you please pull up the tweet that I sent you from Ilhan? And I think that this clip is very telling because what Ilhan points out here, and I'm going to play it for you guys, is she is highlighting the fact that there is now a massive protest, or should I say protests, that are going on the regular in Tel Aviv. And here it is.
I have mixed thoughts. So on the one hand, obviously it pleases me to see people in Izzy Hell, protesting on behalf of the Palestinians, but it's a lot too late right? It's a lot too late. I also, and again, I want any.
I agree. I agree with that. Like, now you coming out because, it's safe to do so at this point. I mean, like, I'm like, bro, like, where were y'all since this started on October 7th? At least, when a lot woke up a lot more people. Like, yeah, that's a great point by Jennifer. Like, yeah, seeing it come from Tel Aviv. I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, I mean, like, let's just keep it 100. Like, this ain't gonna do a dent of shit to change the minds of the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu. Like, I'm just saying.
Anything that works is good, right? Like, I want whatever helps facilitate ending people dying is good. Let me be very clear about that. But I don't think that this is the kind of thing wherein we watch this and think that, okay, Israel and its people can be salvaged. They can't.
Yeah, that's like a fraction of how many of those people support what's going on in Gaza. Like, most of them do. Okay, a fraction of them, come out and protest. Okay. But again, it's like, yeah, I 100% agree.
This is an outlying situation in terms of what we know about the mindset of the majority of Israelis. We know that more than 80-something% of them are on board with ethnic cleansing in one degree or another. So, these kinds of protests make me, yes, it's nice to see it, but I don't want us to get distracted and think that, okay, so that gives these guys who are protesting a pass in terms of their complicity and participation in Holocaust. It doesn't. So while it is nice to see that, this is by no means an indicator that Israel can be salvaged in terms of coexisting on planet Earth with the rest of us.
This is about as close to a direct call out as you are going to hear from one fellow party member to another, especially two that have been as closely associated as they have for the past 6 years. The genocide of the Palestinian people, of the people of Gaza, continues as members of Congress vote to fund Israel's defensive and offensive military capabilities. This is immoral, and no amount of excuses will ever make it okay. And that's the truth. The fact that Alex cannot stand on her position without trying to...
Position? Alex doesn't have a position. That's the whole problem with Alex. No position. She takes no position. She's like a jellyfish.
This has always been, Colin. Could you just pull up that photo that I sent you earlier, if you could? I'd really appreciate it.
That's so gross.
Well, yeah, we don't need to show that one again. The one of Jen.
Do you have a picture of me?
Yeah, I have.
Which picture of me?
You'll see.
Oh, the one of me and Ilhan?
How? Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
I love that picture. And the way that the light is in that picture, and I do know it is the glare of the ceiling light. I do know that. This wasn't like when I saw Dolly, and I know for a fact that Dolly does glow. This isn't like that.
All right, y'all. So y'all heard what they said. Yeah, man. So yeah. And I ain't even done yet, man. I might well play Ilhan Omar's I mean, not Ilhan. Shama Sawant's take on it. So let me pull that up. Like, everybody heading into 2LC, man. Like, Shama Sawant on Come Guns Blazing. So here we go.
Welcome to On Strike, a production of Workers Strike Back. I'm Kshama Sawant. On Friday, July 18th, the United States Congress approved a bill to send hundreds of billions of dollars more to support the Israeli state's genocidal mission in Gaza. Hundreds of billions more dollars to continue the unspeakable horrors being perpetrated on the Palestinian people, nearly 500,000 of whom have already lost their lives in the genocide. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as she's called, voted no on an amendment to the bill that called for eliminating $500 million for Iron Dome, Arrow, and David Sling, all of which are weapons in the Israeli arsenal against Gaza. In other words, she voted to fund the genocide. Working people and the left have correctly been horrified by AOC's vote and are rejecting her attempt to justify this utterly reprehensible action. In this episode, we will talk about AOC's record and the record of her fellow progressive Democrats on the issue of the genocide and the brutal occupation by Israel of the Palestinian lands. We will talk about what is needed to end the genocide, and we will talk about the kind of political representation that's needed urgently for the anti-war movement. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe to On Strike if you haven't already done so. If you've been a member of Worker Strike Discussion, Israel's visit to Gaza, several weeks into Israel's ongoing total blockade on humanitarian aid. More than 90% of Gaza's housing has been destroyed. The entire population is experiencing the onset of famine. Estimates from the British medical journal, The Lancet, indicate the Gaza death toll was likely over 335,000 by September of last year, and that the toll has likely since surpassed 400,000. The fact that most corporate media publish around a tenth of that actual number is not only glaringly inaccurate, it's nothing less than genocide denial. UNICEF Executive Director Catherine Russell said earlier this month, quote, "Each of Gaza's 1 million children has faced immense suffering. An average of 28 children have been killed each day, the equivalent of an entire classroom. Consider that for a moment, a whole classroom of children killed every day for nearly 2 years. These children are not combatants. They are being killed and made."
And you know what? I'm gonna start right there too. Like, exactly. Like, what have these kids done to deserve this, man? Like, I'm just, it's like you. It's like at a point in time, like again, like with ALC, like you failed to stay on code. That's why everybody giving you hell. Like, you see what's going on. Like, everybody watching this on their phones or their computers or whatnot, and you choose to decide with Israel because of Iron Dome funding. Like, oh man.
Aimed as they line up for life-saving food and medicine, end quote. That average over recent months has grown far worse. At least 100 Gazan children are being injured or killed daily since Israel resumed its genocidal offensive in March. More than 9,000 children have been treated for malnutrition already this year, and the latest estimates are that 1 in 5 children is malnourished. Just days ago in northern Gaza, for example, as reported by UNICEF, Wad and her husband Masood watched helplessly as severe acute malnutrition claimed the lives of their newborn twins. "We lost our twin babies after birth because of malnutrition. I can't lose Ibrahim and Muhammad too," Masood said about their surviving 2 children. To quote one of the relief and aid workers on the ground, "People in Gaza are neither dead nor alive. They are walking corpses." And as a young Palestinian student, Taqwa Al-Wawi wrote in an essay, "Let me be clear, the people of Gaza are being starved on purpose. We are not unlucky, we are victims of war crimes." This is the context in which AOC voted no on the amendment to cut $500 million of US funding to the Israeli military. It is the same context in which she has stated that Israel has a right to defend itself. This is not defense, this is a Holocaust. AOC's vote for those $500 million for Israel is inexcusable and amounts to support for the genocide in Gaza. And except for a small number of representatives like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, who voted for the amendment, the same goes for the rest of AOC's fellow rotten.
I mean, like, exactly. Like, my thing is this: is AOC care about the Palestinians so much? Oh, she loves them so much. Why would you vote for the Iron Dome? Like, why would you give Israel dying for the Iron Dome? It don't make any sense. Like, it's almost a one is cooking her ass right now.
self-described progressives in the Democratic Party who have also voted for Israeli military funding, including Pramila Jayapal and Ro Khanna. AOC's gaslighting attempts at justifying her action exposes her even further. She admits Israel is committing a genocide, as you can plainly see in her tweet, yet she apparently thinks working people are stupid enough not to see through her claim that funding for Israel's Iron Dome is acceptable because it's a defensive weapon. No aspect of this genocidal project can be considered defensive. Iron Dome, Arrow, David Sling, all funded by those $500 million, are part of the genocidal hardware of the Israeli state. They have allowed Israel to carry out slaughter in Gaza with impunity. They have also enabled Israel to brutally attack Lebanon, Iran, Syria, and Yemen. Israel has bombed Yemen on 9 separate occasions just since May of this year, so many times that there is a separate Wikipedia page for Israel's attacks on Yemen just since May. There is nothing defensive or defensible about any of this. These ongoing horrors would be impossible without the hundreds of billions of dollars of military funding from the US ruling class and its two parties, Democrats and Republicans. It's good that the leadership of the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, publicly spoke in opposition to AOC's vote. It's also important that the national DSA leadership finally withdrew their endorsement of AOC last year over the issue of Israel and Gaza. But this is not enough. Moreover, the New York City DSA did not withdraw their endorsement. AOC's recent vote is not an isolated instance, but part of an overall record of her doing the bidding of the Zionists and the warmongers. On September 2021, AOC voted present on a bill to give $1 billion to Israel's Iron Dome, which is equivalent to abstaining on this critical vote and refusing to oppose it. In other words, she chose to stand on the sidelines as $1 billion in military aid went to a state that had been carrying out a shockingly brutal occupation of Palestinian lands for over 7 decades. The day after that vote, AOC publicly apologized to working people for not voting no on the $1 billion for Iron Dome. But in October 2023, while speaking to CNN Newsnight, AOC reversed her position again and said she thought Iron Dome was quote-unquote absolutely legitimate and that she would vote for it. All of last year, AOC uncritically backed Biden for president despite his administration arming Israel to the teeth. And then at the Democratic National Convention in August, AOC loudly proclaimed that Kamala Harris was working quote-unquote tirelessly for a ceasefire in Gaza. It was patently obvious to anyone paying attention that the Biden-Harris administration was not only doing nothing to stop what has become a 21st century Holocaust, but that Biden-Harris, the Democrats, and the Republicans were all backing Israel to the hilt.
And the craziest thing about that too is, I know I'm letting her cook, but she said all that shit. Oh God, she said all that shit. I remember that. Like, oh, Biden is working tirelessly for a ceasefire. You know, they want, peace too. And I'm like, I mean, like all the money they gave, all the money Joe Biden and the Biden regime gave Israel. Like, it don't make any sense for them to say they want to work for a ceasefire. They don't give a shit about the Palestinian people. Oh God, I'm telling you, man.
And giving lucrative contracts to the US weapons corporations. In fact, Jack Lew, Biden's ambassador to Israel, openly boasted about how the Biden-Harris administration never exerted any pressure on Israel to stop bombing Gaza. As he said, nothing that we ever said was just stop the war. In November of last year, AOC sided with the Anti-Defamation League, a powerful Israel lobby group, by voting yes on a disgusting resolution that equates criticism of the Israeli state to anti-Semitism, which is intended and will be wielded as a weapon of repression against the anti-war movement. While she is less blatant than the most open warmongers in her party, AOC's actions are a complete betrayal of working and oppressed people, only made worse by her calling herself a socialist. She is making sure that she votes enough on the side of US imperialism's agenda in the Middle East so as to signal to them that she is malleable for their interests. We cannot allow this. No politician who is voting to fund this genocide deserves one more working class vote. Ending the genocide and the brutal occupation will require building a powerful anti-war movement to defeat the forces of US imperialism in order to win an end to all military funding to Israel. That means mass strike action and mass protests and civil disobedience. It means elected leaders in the US Congress who will not only consistently vote against funding the genocide, but also use their office to mobilize an army of hundreds of thousands of working people to fight the Democratic and Republican parties, the Zionist lobby, and the billionaires profiting from war and genocide.
Right.
Democrats like AOC are doing none of this. Voting the right way is the lowest possible bar, and AOC has repeatedly failed even to do that. As horrifying as it has been to see her go further and further in backing Israel, it's far from the only issue on which AOC has betrayed working people. AOC abandoned most of her program shortly after she first took office in 2019. In early 2021, when the Democratic Party had a majority in the US House, there was an opening for AOC and other progressive Democrats to build a fight for Medicare for All by withholding votes from arch corporate Democrat Nancy Pelosi, who needed their votes to become Speaker of the House. At the time, many, including myself, urged AOC and her fellow squad members, which included Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, to use their numerical balance of power as leverage against the Democratic establishment and withhold their support from Pelosi on the condition that there at least be a House vote on Medicare for All. In my view, a dogged billionaire representative like Pelosi should never get any progressive vote.
Exactly. Like, I mean, like, I don't think Shama Sawant mentioned this, but you should have forced the vote, ALC. Like, you and the squad, like, y'all had the leverage, you know. Like, yes, like, we knew it was a performative stunt. Yes, we know that. Like, we knew Medicare for All wasn't going to pass. Duh. But, like, you said that you wanted to come to Congress to fight. You said you're going to cause the ruckus to the Democratic Party. So my thing is, you had an opportunity to prove my ass wrong. But, you know, like the CARE Act, I looked over that when you voted for that. At that time, you know, I thought, you know, that you know, even though being as getting money, getting the biggest transfer of wealth in American history, I say, yeah, people need help. So, you know, I kind of understand that, but force the vote, like you could have done that. So, all right, man, keep cooking them, Shama.
But withholding their support from her to push for working class needs is the bare minimum any self-described socialist ought to have done. I also argued at the time that this force the vote tactic should not simply be an electoral mechanism within Congress, but it was crucial that it be paired with building a mass movement nationally for Medicare for All, to launch a real fight to win it, to organize the millions who supported it to carry out mass rallies and strike action and go all out. To organize, as we did with my Socialist City Council office in Seattle, to win historic victories. AOC and her fellow progressive Democrats refused to do any of this. One of the things AOC said at the time was that Medicare for All was too much of a reach and that she'd instead fight for the $15 minimum wage because it was more winnable. Shortly after that, she abandoned.
The craziest thing is, you didn't even get $15 minimum wage. So you lied, basically. She lied. She didn't fight for $15 minimum wage. I remember that. Remember Kirchner Sinema did this? And Sinema was a Democrat, remember? But all Democrats supposed to be for the working class, right? Shit. Oh, boy. Keep cooking, ALC. Keep cooking, Shama. Oh, Lord.
Any fight for the $15 minimum wage. Also, the federal minimum wage is still at a shocking $7.25 per hour. In abandoning the chance to build a fight for Medicare for all, AOC was given thorough cover by the DSA leadership and many progressive commentators. They also bear responsibility for these betrayals of the working class. In November of 2022, AOC voted to break the railroad workers' strike. Many DSA leaders still continued running interference for her and other DSA elected Congress members who also voted to break the strike. The vote did spark a big crisis inside DSA and resulted in many members leaving the organization. AOC has abandoned working people and refused to fight for any of the demands she campaigned on because that would put her in conflict with the Democratic Party leadership, with people like Nancy Pelosi. In a few moments of honesty, AOC has revealed why she has abandoned the promises she made when she first ran for Congress. In 2021, after failing to vote no on Iron Dome, she said that she backed down because she was subjected to quote-unquote hateful targeting. In 2023, AOC was asked about how the right-wing MAGA Republican Congress members carried out a force-the-vote tactic, something she had claimed could not be done by progressive Democrats. At that time, AOC talked frankly about how, had she done that, it would have caused her, quote-unquote, reputational and relational harm with the power brokers in her party. Yes, the Democrats and the Republicans will make your daily life hellish if you decide to defy the agenda of the ruling class. They will use personalized nastiness, character assassination, social ostracizing, and psychological pressure.
You know what I really like about this woman right here on your screen? You know, Thomas one only don't talk the talk, she walks the walk. And that's what we need from a representative, a person that has political power. Like, you know, Shams Sawant was on the city council and she got way more shit done than, you know, the squad have ever done. What the squad got done, Pago or some shit like that, like weak soft shit that don't really mean nothing. Like, you know, you promised Medicare for all, you promised to abolish ICE. Like AOC stopped talking about that as soon as she got into Congress. You know, what else? Some more shit too, man. Those are the two biggest things that got me, man. Like, you promised to fight, but you chose not to. But Shams Sawant, man, I really do hope she win her congressional race. You know, Shams Sawant, she's running third party. She's not running as a Democrat. So that's great. Like, you know, I don't know why people think that in order to win, you have to run through the Democratic Party. Like, the Democratic Party don't like outsiders. They like establishment motherfuckers. They like people that will bend the knee to a donor or bend the knee to power, you know. Like, the Democratic Party ain't, the Democratic Party don't like you. If you support Medicare for all or minimum wage, like, they don't like you, even though the Democratic Twitter account made a post saying the time to raise the wage when they had 2 Obama terms and a Joe Biden term to do it, but they failed to do it. So yeah, that's that. See, you can talk when you're not in power, but once you're in power, you quiet the church mouse. So yeah, I'm gonna end it right there, man. Like, show me someone cooking. Watch the rest yourself. I don't wanna play her whole video. You know, like go over there and support her. Shams Sawant's a wonderful person. She's very informative. She's very intelligent. I love to get her on the ATP network one day, man. I know it's gonna be hard because, you know, I'm very small. You know, I'm not notable, but hopefully one day, you know. All right, guys, that's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I sure hell as have. You know, be sure to, you know, like the video. So shameless plugs before we head out. Be sure to like the video. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. You know, like, it helps us out a lot when you like the video, guys. Like, y'all just don't know how important it is because it helps us out in the algorithm. Support the ATP Network on Twitter. We got a Twitter account at ATP Network 7. Shop our merch store. ATPnetwork.myshopify.com. And also, too, man, GazaFunds.com. You know, support Gaza, you know. Support the people in Gaza any way you can, man. Like, I understand people ain't got money. Like, a lot of people struggling. I get that. You know, but, you know, it's still stuff you can do, man. There's no excuse that you can't help out these people. So, yeah, GazaFunds.com, you know, It goes a long way, guys. So yeah, y'all. I'm done talking. You know, I told y'all, man. Like I said, this is gonna be a short stream, and a motherfucker always either be an hour and a half to 2 hours. So, and that's good because the longer you stream on YouTube, for example, the more the more views you get. So, all right, guys. I have no closeout video, none. So I'm just gonna end it with the regular outro. All right, y'all. I'm Andre Morton, signing out of the Good Faith Show. Have a good one, and also to fuck Benjamin Netanyahu.